Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvara Charane Nivashishis in your body. Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya
Jaya
Nityananda Jaya
Jaya
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. Very good. Okie dokie.
Oh no, what's going on?
Okay, here we are in the spiritual world, girls. We're not going to just like, if you worship Govardhan Hill and all the residents of Vrindavan were underneath the hill, they didn't feel any need to eat, no hunger. They didn't have to go to the bathroom. It was like, while Indra was casting his storm, the residents of Vrindavan just absorbed and looking at Krishna, and they didn't feel any material difficulties, even though it was a devastation. Krishna was lifting up the whole hill, and it was a magic place. Krishna is very magical, right? So we are under his magic umbrella reading Chaitanya Charitamrta together.
Haribol.
Association of Devotees. Okay, so we are on text. Here we go. And 77. So what's going on here before? This is the description of Mahashankarshan and Balaram's his own expansion here. Let's start. Okay, go back to 74.
Okay.
All right. And Tisha, why don't you start reading? This is just to get a little recap of where we are.
Okay, thank you. Text 74. Balaram's own expansion is called Maha Sankarshan, and his fragment, the Purusha, is counted as a kala, or a part of a plenary portion. I say that this kala, oh, wait a second, are we good? I say that this kala is Mahavishnu. He is the Maha Purusha, who is the source of the other Purushas and who is all pervading.
And this is a part, a kala. Kala means part, is a part of Sri Baladev. Go on.
Garbhodakshaya and Shirodakshaya are both called Purushas. Excuse me. They are plenary portions of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, the first Purusha, who is the abode of all the universes.
So before you read the purport, Purusha, you know what Purusha is? Purusha, who can say? What is Purusha? Okay, Chaita.
He is the male, the one male.
The supreme,
controller.
Purusha, person, the supreme male, the first being. He is the supreme male. He is the
supreme enjoyer, right?
Supreme enjoyer, supreme male. He is the ornament, the male ornament, as the gopis describe him. So it is starting with the supreme male, right? The Purusha, just like we're reading about Lord Brahma. Everything comes from the supreme male. And and we are all Prakriti. We are all servant of the supreme Purusha. Go on.
The purport is by Srila Prabhupada. The symptoms of the Purusha are described in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita. While describing the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the author has quoted from the Vishnu Purana 6.8.59, where it is said, quote, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Purushotama, Lord Krishna, who is always free from the contamination of the 6 material dualities, whose plenary portion, Mahavishnu, glances over matter to create the cosmic manifestation, who expands himself in various transcendental forms, all of which are one and the same, who is the master of all living entities, who is always free and liberated from the contamination of material energy, and who, when he appears in this material world, seems one of us, although he has an eternally spiritual, blissful, transcendental form." End of quote. In summarizing this statement, Rupa Goswami has concluded that the plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who acts in cooperation with the material energy is called the Purusha.
Okay, so two things. So this is the Laghu Bhagavatamrita is a book by Rupa Goswami,
Okay.
and Purushottam. Purushottam is another name for which Dham?
Jagannath Puri.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Jagannath Puri, Purushottam Dham, the Dham of the Supreme Purusha. Purushottam Dham. Hare
Jai Jagannath.
Jai Jagannath Swami. Oh my goodness, Jai Jagannath. All right, Jai Shri, you read. After this, you have to change it. There you go.
Vishnu has three forms called Purushas. The first, Mahavishnu, is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodakshai, who is situated within each universe. And the third is Shirodakshai, who lives in the heart of every living being. He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Purport. This verse appears in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Purva 2.9, where it has been quoted from the Satvata Tantra. Although Karnadakshay Vishnu is called a Kala of Lord Krishna, he is the source of Matsya, Kurma, and the other incarnations. All these incarnations of Godhead are either plenary portions or parts of the plenary portions of the Purusha avatars. But Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. In every age, he protects the world through his different features when the world is disturbed by the enemies of Indra. This quotation is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse 28. That Purusha, Karnadakshay Vishnu, is the performer of creation, maintenance, and
It's funny because that Purusha, this says Shirodakshai Vishnu. Okay, so
what in the book?
yeah, oh well.
It's
Yeah, mine does too. Mine does too.
So we'll go with Shirodakshai Vishnu because Karnadakshay Vishnu is the Purusha, the first Purusha. Shirodakshai Vishnu is the Lord in the heart,
Mhm.
and Garbhodakshai Vishnu, what is what does he do? Anyone remember Garbhodakshai Vishnu?
He's the very first one, right?
Garbhodakshai, no.
No. He's the one with Lord Brahma.
Right, because how do Karna?
Yeah.
I'm not Karna. Garba is the navel.
Yes. Garba. Yeah,
think
navel.
Did we read this before? Anyway,
No, this is what we're doing in the Bhagavatam. It's kind of like
Yeah.
going on the same
Same
flow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's good we hear it from all different places. Then maybe
So-
we'll see even.
So last week we asked Dhruva Maharaj about Karnadakshay Vishnu is the one where all the universes were coming from, right? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yeah, he is the first Purusha.
first one.
Actually, if we, just a second. If you just go back to 77, let's go back to 77 for a quick moment. And whoever's reading, read that. No, Vishnu has three forms.
Oh, Purushas. Oh, yeah, I read this. So the first Mahavishnu is the creator of the total material energy, Mahat. The second is Garbhodakshai, who is situated within each universe, and the third is Shirodakshai, who lives in the heart of every living being.
Okay.
He who knows these three becomes liberated from the clutches of Maya. Yeah. So the Mahavishnu is Karnadakshay.
Yeah, Karnadakshay Vishnu.
Okay.
All right, go on, Jayashree, with text number 80 and just replace Shirodakshai Vishnu, the performer of creation, maintain destruction. Well, maybe it is Shirodakshai Vishnu.
Well, this one says that Purusha, Karnadakshay Vishnu, is the performer of creation, maintenance, and destruction. He manifests himself in many incarnations, for he is the maintainer of the world.
Hmm.
Okay, just keep reading. I'll have to check it with the pundit.
Okay. That fragment of the Supreme Lord, known as the Mahapurusha, appears for the purpose of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, and is called an incarnation. That Mahapurusha is identical with the personality of Godhead. He is the original incarnation, the seed of all others, and the shelter of everything.
Mhm.
The Purusha Mahavishnu is the primary incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Time, nature, prakriti as cause and effect, the mind, the material elements, false ego, the modes of nature, the senses, the universal form, complete independence, and the moving and non-moving beings appear subsequently as his opulences. Purport. Describing the incarnation and their symptoms, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita has stated that when Lord Krishna descends to conduct the creative affairs of the material manifestation, he is an avatar or incarnation. The two categories of avatars are empowered devotees and Tad Ekatma Rupa, the Lord himself. An example of Tad Ekatma Rupa is Shesha. And the example of a devotee is Vasudeva, the father of Lord Krishna. Srila Baladev Vijayabhushan has commented that the material cosmic manifestation is a partial kingdom of God, where God must sometimes come to execute a specific function. The plenary portion of the Lord through whom Lord Krishna executes such actions is called Mahavishnu, who is the primal beginning of all incarnations.
Okay, that's the answer right there. I was a bit confused. Caritamrta Vishnu is Mahavishnu, and he is the source of all incarnations. Okay, go on. Go on, Jai.
Provides
Jai, are you there?
both the cause.
Mhm.
Are you frozen? Frozen in time? Jai Shri, you there? I think she got stuck in
Yeah.
cyberspace. I think she got stuck in cyberspace. We can't hear you, Jai Shri. Turn off your video so that we can just hear you, if you can hear us.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. Start with inexperienced observers. Don't put on your picture until for now. Inexperienced, there you go. Can you read? Technical difficulty. All right, technical difficulty, Jai Shri.
Observe still. Okay.
Okay, no one can hear you really, sweetie. I don't know what the problem is. So we'll just go to the next. Can you hear us? Can you hear Jai Shri? I don't know what to do in this situation.
Hmm.
Somebody please know what to do.
I'm gonna text her.
Okay, okay, while you're texting, someone else read, Gopa.
Okay, inexperienced observers presume that the material energy provides both the cause and the elements of the cosmic manifestations, and that the living entities are the enjoyers of material nature, but the devotees of the Bhagavat school, which has scrutinizingly examined the entire situation, can understand that the material nature can independently be neither the supplier of the material elements nor the cause of the material manifestation. Material nature gets the power to supply the material elements from the glance of the Supreme Person, Mahavishnu. And when empowered by him, she is called the cause of the material manifestation. Both features of the material nature as the cause of the material creation and as the source of its elements exists due to the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The various expansions of the Supreme Lord who act to empower the material energy are known as plenary expansions or incarnations, as illustrated by the example of many flames lit from one flame. All these plenary expansions and incarnations are as good as Vishnu himself. Nevertheless, because of their activities in controlling Maya, sometimes they are known as Mayika. Mayika?
I've lost you here, but it is Maika.
Or having a relationship with Maya.
Right. Yeah.
This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 2:642.
I see. Because
Boy,
they,
that was a lot. Scrutinizingly examined the entire situation.
right. That's what we're trying. Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta said, wants you to read transcendental knowledge scrutinizingly. Wants you to read the Bhagavatam scrutinizingly. You know, we're just not here to like just hear a fairy tale. We want to go deep into what is actually being said, because this is our contact with the spiritual world. So we want to have this spiritual energy. Jaishri, you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just turned off my video.
Okay, that's a good idea. Let Gopa read one more, and then you read after her.
Sure.
Gopa. 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 Are you there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I muted, then I forgot to unmute. Sorry.
Okay, sweetie. Okay, sweetie.
Translation. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord expanded himself in the form of the Purusha incarnation, accompanied by all the ingredients of material creation. First, he created the 16 principal energies suitable for creation. This was for the purpose of manifesting the material universes. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 131, the commentary of Madhava on Srimad Bhagavatam mentions that the following 16 spiritual energies are present in the spiritual world. 1, Shri. 2, Bu.
Yeah.
3, Leela. 4, Kanti. 5, Kirti. 6, Tushti. 7, Gir. 8, Pushti. 9, Satya. 10, Jnana. 11, Jaya. Utkarshini. 12, Vimala. 13, Yogamaya. 14, Pravit. 15, Tashana. And 16, Anugraha. In his commentary on the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushana has said that the above energies are also known by 9 names. 1, Vimala. 2, Utkarshini. 3, Jnana. 4, Kriya. 5, Yoga. 6, Pravit. 7, Satya. 8, Tishana. And 9, Anugraha. In the Bhagavad Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami, text 117, they are described as Shri Pushti Girt Kanti Kriti Rusti Tita Jaya Vidya Maya Samvit Sandini Ladini Bhakti Murti Vimala Yoga Pravit Ishana Anugraha, etc. All these energies act in different spheres of the Lord's supremacy.
Okay, now wait a second. Yeah. When I gave you this, I said, okay, we'll go for it. But why is it important to know these things? Why is it important to hear these things?
Just the unlimited nature of the Lord.
Yes, very good. Very good. That's why, when we're studying the Bhagavatam and we're studying the universal form and we study the greatness of God,
Yes,
it's very, very important. Actually, in the temple, someone was giving a class also in reference to it. We have to know the greatness of God to understand who we're dealing with, and all of these energies of the Lord that are in the spiritual world, that are in his person, that are expansions of him. This is, as you said, Gopa, this is important to know, so we can know the greatness of God. It's the first step in God realization. Unless you know the person that you're dealing with, how can you have a relationship with him? Right? That's why to know these three Purushas, the Mahavishnu, which is Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. When we have to know this greatness, that the expansiveness, the incredibility, practically speaking, the enormity of the Lord. First, it helps us to understand his infinite, omnipotent nature, and also our relationship with him. We are very teeny. We're very teeny. There's no need to be prideful at all. In fact, the only way we understand this is by being humble. But simultaneously, even though the Lord is like way beyond any kind of description, he wants to have a relationship with us, even though we're teeny weeny. Now that's beautiful. That's really love. So I was just reading about how the gopis are arranging just to make things with flowers to decorate the Lord and Radharani. And it's just very simple, pure-hearted devotional service to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what we're trying to enter into that field. Okay, everyone follow? It's a very, so we have to go through these things. We have to understand this personality, this sublime Supreme Personality. Okay, let's go on. Jayashree, can you read now? Just, you'll have to keep your video off and your sound on.
Although the Lord is the shelter of everything, and although all the universes rest in him, he, as the supersoul, is also the support of everything. Although he is thus connected with the material energy in two ways, he does not have the slightest contact with it. Purport. In the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Srila Rupa Goswami, commenting upon the Lord's transcendental position beyond the material qualities, says that Vishnu, as the controller and superintendent of material nature, has a connection with material qualities. That connection is called yoga. However, that person who directs prison is not also a prisoner. Similarly, although the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu directs or supervises the qualitative nature, he has no connection with the material modes of nature. The expansions of Lord Vishnu always retain their supremacy. They are never connected with the material qualities. One may argue that Mahavishnu cannot have any connection with the material qualities, because if he were so connected, Srimad Bhagavatam would not state that material nature, ashamed of her thankless task of acting to induce the living entities to become averse to the Supreme Lord, remains behind the Lord in shyness. I might want to read that again.
Yeah, read it again.
One may argue that Mahavishnu cannot have any connection with material qualities, because if he were so connected, Srimad Bhagavatam would not state that material nature, ashamed of her thankless task of acting to induce the living entities to become averse to the Supreme Lord, remains behind the Lord in shyness.
Okay, it's just to add one thing. The Lord is totally detached and unaffected by the modes of nature. But,
Mhm.
and a devotee, that's a devotee takes on that same capacity of being totally detached and unaffected by the modes of nature. That doesn't mean that the devotee doesn't, his body doesn't get sick and it doesn't, and it doesn't get a headache and all this stuff. But it means that he is actually not affected. There's cause for him to be distressed, but he's not distressed. Okay,
Okay.
go on.
In answer to this argument, it may be said that the word guna means regulation. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva are situated within this universe as the directors of the three modes, and their connection with the modes is known as yoga. This does not indicate, however, that these personalities are bound by the qualities of nature. Lord Vishnu specifically is always the controller of the three qualities. There is no question of his coming under their control.
Very
Al-
good.
Although the causal and element supplying features exist in material nature by dint of the glance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is never affected by glancing over the material qualities. By the will of the Supreme Lord, the different qualitative changes in the material world take place, but there is no possibility of material affection, change, or contamination for Lord Vishnu.
Wow. Can you kind of say that in your own words a little bit? Jayashree?
Well, I liked that example that Prabhupada gave earlier about the prison and the prison, how they're, just because someone is there, he's not a prisoner, he's just looking over. But, and so this is also glancing over the material nature. He's not affected by it.
Right.
And, there's no possibility that he could be contaminated by it. It just makes sense.
Yeah, very good.
You
He's
know,
not contaminated.
yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Well,
Can I ask something? Well, it's not really a question, but and this is definitely the first time I've ever really heard it. That going back to the Maya about how she's hiding behind him.
mhm.
Or I'm trying to, thankfully, here it is. So one may argue that Mahavishnu cannot have any connection with the material qualities because if he were so connected, Srimad Bhagavatam would not state that material nature, ashamed of her thankless task of acting to induce the living entities to become averse to the Supreme Lord, remains behind the Lord in shyness. I'm just amazed at that. I thought Maya was real happy to do her service for the Lord.
Oh, it is a thankless task. You're
That-
actually discouraging people from worshiping Krishna. Can you imagine going out in Sankirtan and saying, "Excuse me, sir, don't ever utter the name of God. Sadham. Don't be nice to the devotees." I mean, she's, but you see, the thing is, the backside of that is that the conditions, just like we're studying with Lord Brahma, he's creating all these disastrous things.
yeah.
He's creating to fulfill the perverted desires of the living entities. Remember that picture desire was up there, that word desire. So
Yeah.
we realized that, and all of the desires of the living entities are in the stem of the lotus flower, but it is not only their desire, it is Krishna's desire to fulfill their desire in a way that they will come to understand that this is not pleasing. This is not where the best thing to, so it's not done out of any kind of ill motivation by Krishna,
Yeah, I'm just totally amazed.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Horrible. Anyway, Maya's a great
Right.
devotee.
Yes, she's a great devotee. She does her service well.
That's an
But
awesome
I
job.
It's an awesome job.
I
That's an
never
awesome job.
knew that it was a thankless task and that she hides out of shame, you know what I mean? But now it's like, wow, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for this class.
Hare Krishna. Thank Lord Chaitanya. Thanks, Srila Prabhupada.
Well, yeah,
All we're doing really in all of these discussions is keeping Prabhupada, is studying what Prabhupada has told us.
Mhm.
You know, that is our duty to do this. If we want to get out of the material world, if we want to understand the goal of human life. So thank you for participating in this discussion and in these classes. It's really, what else can we do? We have to take shelter of the words of the pure devotee. All right, let's go on.
Chaita has a question. Chaita has her hand up.
Chaita, okay, Chaita.
Hari Bol, I was looking at the purport and wondering, in our progress as devotees, is there some way to know whether we're at the stage where we're beyond of affectation by the modes of nature?
Prabhupada says in this song to Nitai Padakamala, and the translation, Prabhupada, I always remember this one, that if you know that you have the mercy of the Lord, within your heart there are no more material desires. You know?
Okay,
When
okay.
you can do a barometer by seeing how much you are actually becoming detached from trying to make it work in the world after brutalizing ourselves, which trying to make it work in the material world. You know, if we actually realize the goal of our life really is to become Krishna conscious. You know, that is number one. That is number one. It really is. For a devotee, it's number one. For all the living entities, it's number one. And even though, you know, you take the medicine, they don't like the medicine, but you got to take it because it's going to cure you.
Yeah.
You can tell that when you become detached from the material world, you know. That's
Thank you, Mark.
All right, let's go on. Who's next? Who was next? Who didn't read? Jai Shri? Oh, Chaita, you
Vaishnavi.
and Chaita, and then Vaishnavi.
Okay. So text 87. This is the opulence of the Lord. Although situated within the material nature, he is never affected by the modes of nature. Similarly, those who have surrendered to him and have fixed their intelligence upon him are not influenced by the modes of nature.
Okay, that's the secret. That's the secret of success right there, right there. Okay, Prabhupada said, I'll tell you one real quick. Prabhupada said, if you are lamenting, Maya is attacking. Okay.
Wow,
Mm.
I love it. Beautiful, thank you. Okay, text 88. Thus Bhagavad Gita also states again and again that the absolute truth always possesses inconceivable power. Okay, 59. Lord Krishna said, I am situated in the material world and the world rests in me. But at the same time, I am not situated in the material world, nor does it rest in me in truth. Purport. Nothing in existence is possible unless energized by the will of the Lord. The entire manifested creation is therefore resting on the energy of the Lord. But one should not therefore presume that the material manifestation is identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A cloud may rest in the sky, but that does not mean that the sky and the cloud are one and the same. Similarly, the qualitative material energy and its products are never identical with the Supreme Lord. The tendency to lord it over material nature or Maya cannot be a feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay,
When-
okay. Do you know why? Do you know why?
That's a big one.
Yeah, he is the controller of it. The tendency to lord it over, when you have $1 million or your $10 problems are solved, he's already in charge of everything. And he has established everything perfectly. So the tendency to lord it over material nature cannot be a feature of the Supreme Lord. He's already in charge.
Well, then is it like an expansion? I mean, if it's not a feature, is
It's not
my,
a feature of him, it is expansion for the satisfaction of the conditioned soul. The tendency to lord it over that's one of the things that Lord Brahma created,
oh, right, yes.
right? He created all this, but that doesn't mean that Krishna, the source of all this, is dependent on it or affected by it.
Mhm.
He's totally detached from it. That's how all Om Purnam Purnam, what is that one from the
Yeah.
Upanishad?
Upanishad.
He is the supreme controller. He's in charge of everything. Everything belongs to him, but he's totally detached.
Yeah.
This is all to understand the greatness of God. And those who follow this also become detached, and then they go back to God, removed. They don't become entangled in the material world.
Beautiful.
Okay, let's go on.
When he descends to the material world, he maintains his transcendental nature, unaffected by the material qualities. In both the spiritual and material worlds, he is always the controller of all energies. The uncontaminated spiritual nature always exists within him. The Lord appears and disappears in the material world in different features for his pastimes. Yet he is the origin of all cosmic manifestations.
I gotta say this.
That's pretty wild.
The feature of the Lord, Shiradaksha Vishnu, which is the Paramatma, the all-pervasive nature of the Lord. So he is in every single atom, in everything that is he is the thread, and it's all spirit, and within him is the whole spiritual energy. So if you see it like that, everything is spiritual. It's our perverted vision that makes us think that the material energy is here for our exploitation. Did that make sense to you?
It certainly is a perversion. I remember getting a science book in 6th grade in Catholic school. And the title of that science book was Enjoying God's World. So I mean, we're fed this idea that it's all about us, and God has created it for our good, he's our well-wisher. He's ultimately he is the well-wisher, but it's like what is our intention?
Yeah.
What is our intention? If our intention is to enjoy, we are so way off the mark.
So what is our real purpose then?
Our real purpose is to
Get back.
is rehabilitation.
Okay,
Rehabilitation.
get back, rehabilitation. And how do we do that?
Through the 9 processes, the 9 processes of bhakti yoga.
Right, service. Right. Gopal, were you going to say something?
I was just gonna say chant.
It's easy,
Oh.
it's the prime benediction in this age of Kali. Just engaging them. The point was service, rather than seeing this is God's world to enjoy. The only way you can enjoy really is by service to God. But the motivation, and Prabhupada said, for your best interest, one should serve Krishna for your best interest. So simultaneously your enjoyment. But how am I going to be really happy? That's a natural thing for the living entity. But we are really going to be happy by service. Even if you take mundane examples, we love our friends, we love our family, we love our dogs, we love, and what do you do when you love someone? You want to do something for that person, for that animal, for you want to serve. So that's what devotional service means, lovingly serving the source of all love, which is who is Krishna. All right,
Beautiful.
go on reading. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but this is how
The
we get.
material manifestation cannot exist separate from the Supreme Lord. Yet Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in spite of his connection with the material world, cannot be
Nature.
subordinate.
And is a connection with the material nature.
Yes,
Okay.
cannot be.
You said world.
Oh, sorry. In spite of his connection with the material nature, cannot be subordinate to nature's influence. His original form of eternal bliss and knowledge is never subordinate to the three qualities of material nature. This is a specific feature of the Supreme Lord's inconceivable potencies. Haribol.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Okay, Vaishnavi, are you there? Give
Yes,
her-
I'm here.
Hey, we haven't heard from you. How about reading?
Okay. Oh, Arjuna, you should know this as my inconceivable opulence. This is the meaning propagated by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The Mahapurusha, Karanadakashai Vishnu, is known as a plenary part of him who is Lord Nityananda Balaram, the favorite associate of Lord Chaitanya. I have thus explained the 9th verse, and now I shall explain the 10th. Please listen with rapt attention. I offer my full obeisances unto the feet of Sri Nityananda Ram, a partial part of whom is Garbhodakashai Vishnu. From the navel of Garbhodakashai Vishnu sprouts the lotus that is the birthplace of Brahma, the engineer of the universe. The stem of that lotus is the resting place of multitude of planets. Purport. In the Mahabharata Shanti Parva, it is said that he who is Pradyumna is also Aniruddha. He is also the father of Brahma. Thus, Garbhodakashai Vishnu and Kshirodakashai Vishnu are identical plenary expansions of Pradyumna, the original deity of Brahma, who is born from the lotus flower. It is Pradyumna who gives Brahma direction of cosmic management. A full description of Brahma's birth is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Describing the features of the three Purushas, the Laghu Bhagavatamrita says that Garbhodakashai Vishnu has a four-handed form. And when he himself enters the hollow of the universe and lies down in the ocean of milk, he is known as Kshirodakashai Vishnu, who is the super soul of all living entities, including the demigods. In the Satvata Tantra, it is said that the the third Purusha incarnation, Kshirodakashai Vishnu, is situated as the super soul in everyone's heart. This Kshirodakashai Vishnu is an expansion of Garbhodakashai Vishnu for pastimes.
Wow.
Hmm.
All right. We just have to hear all of this. This is wonderful description of the expansions of the Lord. Is everyone understanding so far?
Sort of.
What, Jay?
Two take
Sort of.
Okay, well, that's good.
Okay.
Go on.
After creating millions of universes, the first Purusha entered into each of them in a separate form as Sri Garbhodakashai. Entering the universe, he found only darkness, with no place in which to reside. Thus he began to consider. Then he created water from the perspiration of his own body.
Okay, so this is Garudakshay Vishnu, who is an expansion of Karnadakshay Vishnu. Okay, and he's entering into all the different universes.
So, water from the perspiration of his own body, and with that water filled half the universe. The universe measures 500 million yojanas. Its length and breadth are one and the same.
What's a yojana?
8.1 mile.
Oh, wow.
Okay, 8.1 miles, so 8 miles and a little more. And this is the smallest universe, by the way. Okay, keep reading.
After filling half the universe with water, he made his own residence therein and manifested the 14 worlds with the other half. The 14 worlds are enumerated in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter. The upper planetary systems are Bhur, Bhuvar, Swaha, Mahara, Janaha, Tapaha, and Satya. The 7 lower planetary systems are Thala, Atala, Vithala, Nitala, Talathala, Mahatala, and Suthala. The lower planets as a whole are called Patala. Among the upper planetary systems, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha constitute Swargaloka, and the rest are called Martyaloka. The entire universe is thus known as Triloka. And we are Bhumi, right?
Yeah,
Correct?
and we are just right above the lower planetary system. We are like really, I always say you can even feel the heat of hell where we are. We are just above the lower planets. This Muloka, Loka. This is the middle
Wait.
planetary system.
Is our planetary system mentioned here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our planet is Bhumi, Bhu. The first one which is said, I think that is what ours is. Our Bhumi is Bhu.
yeah.
We're in the middle, aren't we? In the middle of
We're in the middle, but we're as low in the middle as you could be. You know, the bottom part of the middle. Like when it stops coming from the lower planetary systems, go to the previous verse.
Well, no, in here I have a question. So this one at the last sentence it says entire universe is thus known as Triloka.
Triloka, three.
Yeah, three says whereas 14 worlds are described, and 14 worlds are one is
That's in the stem of the,
and then 7 lower planetary systems, and then 7 upper planetary systems.
And we're in the middle. Are we in the middle of all of these?
we are like in the lower portion of the middle. Just when, as soon as it starts getting from the lower planets, then Boo, Var, and Svar. We're in the lower, planetary system.
Where is the middle one? I mean, what
Boo, Var, and Svar are the lower, are the middle.
What falls in the middle is what we call as middle planetary systems, even though that is not technically divided into middle, upper, and lower.
It's interesting because it is technically, because it says Triloka.
Yeah, that is where I'm looking for. Where are the other one? Only 2 are described. Where's the third one?
It's in the middle.
We're the third one, right? We're the third one in the middle of these 7 higher and 7 lower.
Yeah, and the three plan. Yeah, the middle, higher, and lower. But the point is that we're in the middle, but we're in the lowest part of the middle. That's what it is. Is that okay, Vaishnavi?
Well, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the, well, here we are in the material world in the lower region of the middle planetary system. That could answer a lot of questions.
So okay,
Why,
this is how I understand. Okay, so if you can imagine, so the upper planetary systems, if we are going to write in a notebook, we are going to start from number 7 on the very top, 7 6 5 4 3 2 1. And then, because according to how this is given, 7 being the Satyaloka, and then when we go to the low,
wait, no, wait. The Maharloka, there are Tapaloka. The Satyaloka is actually lower. Upper planetary system, okay, boo boo bar spar.
Satyaloka is the Brahmaloka. Satyaloka is also called Brahmaloka. So Brahma is on the top.
No, Sargaloka, what's
Yeah,
Sar-
if you read it in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there is descriptions of the higher planetary systems where the residents actually have spiritual bodies even.
Ki-
What is that?
Remember this
Oh, there we
picture?
go. Yeah,
I don't know how to get it on my computer, but we learned this in the class. There was this picture of the planetary systems and we're like in the middle.
okay, we'll have to, oh, everyone's going to get their book. We'll have to review this in the class.
Mhm.
Okay, what do you got, Cheta?
Oh, it's just
Chaitra got it.
Okay.
how astonishing that this is all manifested by Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And who is that? It's Lord Nityananda.
Yeah, okay. It's not Lord Nityananda,
Balaram.
it's a plenary part.
It's a
Plenary
part of Lord Nityananda.
part, a part of a part of a part.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so you can look at it like this, because Lord Nityananda is so merciful. The material world has been created due to his mercy. So the conditioned souls could simultaneously fulfill their perverted desires and try to, and simultaneously maybe come to the platform where they see that even if they fulfill material desires, they never seem to get fulfilled. And that doesn't make them happy. Make us happy. It's just like, what are we doing here? And I don't know if it came up in the Bhagavatam class, but my husband was saying that when a soul comes in contact with a spiritual master and hears this transcendental knowledge, it means that their term here in the material world is nearing its end. So that is so, I mean, even to hear this stuff and
Yes.
think of appreciate it, it means that we are actually becoming released, because this is the way out. Isn't that, I am so happy to hear that, if you, that's what it means. So, okay. And then Prabhupada says, you don't let this chance go. Don't let this opportunity go by being distracted by everything that in the material world, because finally we're actually attracted to this transcendental knowledge. So we have to, that's why we fill our consciousness with this transcendental knowledge. Okay, but if we don't understand the exact situation of different locus, because we're very small brained, let's just go on a little bit more before we stop. Okay, so who reads next? Tisha, are we back up to you?
Tisha. Yes, Tisha.
Okay. There he manifested Vaikunta as his own abode and rested in the waters on the bed of Lord Sesha. He lay there with Ananta as his bed. Lord Ananta is a divine serpent having thousands of heads, thousands of faces, thousands of eyes, and thousands of hands and feet. He is the seed of all incarnations, and he is the cause of the material world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the reservoir of water, first created by the perspiration of Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, the Lord lies on the Sesha plenary expansion of Vishnu, who is described in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the 4 Vedas as follows. The Vishnu form called Ananta Shyana has thousands of hands and legs and thousands of eyes, and he is the active generator of all the incarnations within the material world.
Who understands what that means? He has thousands of arms and thousands of eyes and thousands of legs and hands. Who understands what that means?
Unlimited, maybe? Unlimited.
Huh?
You explained one day.
What?
You explained one day that all our hands are his hands, all our
Okay. Yeah, that's one, that's the way it says. Actually, that's in the universal form. Okay,
Virat Rupa.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. I mean, I'm proud of us for plowing through this. I really am.
actually today morning,
Great.
actually
What?
today morning, Prabhupada's lecture in the temple
Yeah.
mentioned this point, and then where Prabhupada says, if we don't use our hands for Krishna service, we are doing criminal activity.
That's awesome.
That was a very nice class this morning. Prabhupada talks about the be a mouse again, that whole thing. But we won't go into that now. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, Tisha.
From his navel grew a lotus flower, which became the birthplace of Lord Brahma. Within the stem of that lotus were the 14 worlds. Thus, the Supreme Lord, as Brahma, created the entire creation. And as Lord Vishnu, he maintains the entire world. Lord Vishnu, being beyond all material attributes, has no touch with the material qualities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Sri Baladev Vidya Bhushana says that although Vishnu is the predominating deity of the quality of goodness in the material world, he is never affected by the quality of goodness, for he directs that quality simply by his supreme will. It is said that all living entities can derive all good fortune from the Lord simply by his will. In the Vamana Purana, it is said that the same Vishnu expands himself as Brahma and Shiva to direct the different qualities. Because Lord Vishnu expands the quality of goodness, he has the name Sattvatanu. The multifarious incarnations of Kshirodakashaya Vishnu are known as Sattvatanu. Therefore, in all Vedic scriptures, Vishnu has been described as being free from all material qualities. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is always uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, for he is beyond the material manifestation. He is the source of all the knowledge of all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma, and he is the witness of everything. Therefore, one who worships the Supreme Lord Vishnu also attains freedom from the contamination of material nature. And that's from Bhagavad Gita 10:88-5. Bhagavatam, oh, sorry. One can attain freedom from the contamination of material nature by worshiping Vishnu, and therefore he is called Sattvatanu, as described above.
Okay. Sattvatanu. So
Sattva-
yeah, he expands himself. Sattvatanu. And sattva means goodness. So he expands himself as the mode of goodness. Okay, this is, any questions? Hare Krishna. The Lord is expanding himself, in all of these different ways, and we are his servants. We just have to. It's a bit complicated, but all of a sudden you see that it's magnificent. The Lord is magnificent, and he's expanding himself. That's what it is. Freedom from contamination of material nature by worshiping Vishnu. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Jaisha, you have something to say?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
So what does that make you feel like? this whole thing here.
Very tiny.
Well,
Very tiny.
that's a good thing, you know,
Yeah.
because the only way that we can really worship and serve Krishna is to have this humble attitude,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and it helps to develop it by understanding the greatness of God, the greatness of
Mhm.
Krishna. And one of his greatness things is that he wants to have a relationship with us too. That's really sublimely kind and wonderful,
I
you know.
know.
So it's all good. Everything is, we're on an upswing. Swing. We're at the end of the line because we wouldn't be interested in this if we were, you know, really, we're convinced. So we just have to go for it now. We just have to go for it. Don't be scared. What, Tisha?
What I was thinking yesterday after our class, I was trying to think about everything, get things
Good class.
situated in my head. And I was thinking that just from you, Samapriya, Durva, and all the people in the class that were with Prabhupada, like somehow your energy or enthusiasm like helps keep us all going or something.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what it must have been like to, you know, be with Prabhupada, because all these years have gone by and now you are all having to like push us along, spur us on. And that's incredible, really, because sometimes
Well,
it gets a little complicated.
okay, what's the best way? What's the best way to associate with Srila Prabhupada?
Read his
Read his
book
book.
scrutinizingly.
Yeah.
We have to hear this philosophy over and over and
Over and
over again.
over.
And when we first heard it from Srila Prabhupada, it's not that, I mean, part of it said, oh yeah, but that
Yeah.
oh yeah was like, this is my, you know, and then, you know, you do it, you hear for years and years and years, and you follow, because hearing means following you chant and you read and you engage in devotional service in other ways. And this is so your realization becomes deeper, and taking advantage of that opportunity to actually get out of the material world. And getting out of the material world means you can, someone asked before, if the more you fall in love with Krishna, that's also another symptom that you're just in love with Krishna, and you cry when you chant the holy name. And so that's that.
I just want to interject something that Srila Prabhupada said in Los Angeles in the garden when he's speaking to all the professors, and he says, if you love, and he holds his hand into that mudra where he touches his finger to his thumb, and he says, if you love Krishna, you will love even the ant.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
And I always try, I always try to remember that if I'm sitting outside and the mosquitoes buzzing around me and the gnats are buzzing, or
These are really hard to
you know what I
remember.
mean? And I'm thinking, I've got such a long way to go.
Yeah, I think I remember that because I think ants were crawling on his plate where he was eating. I might be wrong, but I think I watched that video too, where there were ants crawling on his plate, and people they were trying to clean the ants or move the ants away, and he said that about the ants.
Well, this was just he was sitting in his garden in Los Angeles with a whole bunch of like professors instead of like devotees. You know, it was like, you know, but doctors and, you know, all that kind of stuff, PhDs, XYZs, you know.
Yeah.
But yes, yeah, and Shruti Kirti also says, or who was his last servant, Samapriya? I haven't seen him in so long, I forgot his name. Not Shruti Kirti, the other one. For the longest time.
Prophet, what was his Hari Sari.
Yes, Hari Sari said that he would have to go into Prabhupada's mosquito net and get all the mosquitoes out. Srila Prabhupada would not let him kill him. He would have to get all the mosquitoes out of the net.
It's
So,
not easy. It's not easy in the material world. That's why, you know, even breathing we're killing. I mean, it's
yeah.
you know, we really have to Do the best we can, you know? we
Yeah,
have to Do the
yeah.
best we can, try not to make offense. Okay, with that note, we'll think of how we
Yeah.
do the best we can, and everyone share that next time.
Yeah.
Okay, Great